A few years ago, I used to think that TV and movies were just more of a relic of the past. It wasn't anything people truly cared too much to watch regularly. I grew up watching YouTube as my primary source of entertainment, and because of that, I was, and still am, YouTube-pilled towards the future of content consumption. Recently, I chose to go on a trip away to think about a few things, and during that time I disconnected from the internet to an extent. Mainly, I stopped checking my analytics and listening to other people's opinions about a variety of topics, and during my time there, I chose to watch Shogun, The Bear, and Inside Out, which the final one I hadn't actually seen since its release, so it was really refreshing to go back and watch. Both of those shows were really great, but what those and Inside Out made me realise is that shows and movies are simply better than YouTube videos for the most part in multiple ways for me personally. I know it's ironic coming from someone who makes YouTube content for a living, and as someone who, you are listening to a YouTube video right now, so let me explain. One big realization that came to me while I was away was the way that I was living. I wanted to live more intentionally, more calmly, and more in the moment, but most importantly, I wanted to just feel as if what I am actually doing in that moment is singular and not multiple. I'll go into some depth about each one of those in a moment, but there's one thing in particular I wanted to state, which is that YouTube is no different to TikTok when it comes to its main form of functionality. Does this mean I don't like YouTube? No. What this means is that YouTube is better at hiding what we already accept about TikTok. It's a distraction. How many of you are just going to forget about the video that you're watching right now after you've watched another 20 videos today? And that is exactly my point. YouTube is an amazing platform for sharing ideas, getting entertained, and more, but it's also just as much of a junk food platform as TikTok. Shows and movies are different though. They're entertaining and do some of the same things that YouTube videos can do, but what they do, far more than not, is that they're able to command attention. It's very rare when I'm watching YouTube that my full attention is given to that one thing. It might not look like it. It might be the case that I'm glued to the screen, but my mind has gone off and started wandering and thinking about something else. But sometimes it can be far more obvious. It might come in the form of opening your phone a couple of times whilst you're watching this video, scrolling a different app, or just like I said earlier, you're just doing something else while you're watching this video. You might be playing a game, you might be cleaning the house or driving. Who knows? However, what this means is that your attention isn't being gripped, and with that, the memorability of the thing you're consuming doesn't exist. With a show or movie, you're almost entirely hooked from the get-go for two big reasons. One is that we know, or at least we believe to be true, that because this thing is quote-unquote professional, the value proposition is good enough to demand that attention from you from the get-go. It means that we're willing to sit there and give 1 or 2 hour-long episodes a go before we choose to not continue, so that we can at least see what the hype is all about before making our decision to fully commit to watching the whole thing. Even YouTube videos show this to me as well. The average view duration of my videos is typically around 33%, no matter the length. So if it's a 20-minute video, most people have left by around that 7-minute mark, and if it's a 3-hour-long video, most people are gone by the 1-hour mark. What this shows to me is that we inherently have a bias towards things that on paper look like they are higher value propositions and therefore willing far more to stick around and find out whether or not that is true. However, shows are for the most part professional, and with that, it means that most of us struggle to go against one of the biggest things that people love about shows, which is how well they are paced. With a show, I find myself able to disconnect from the things that I am doing and the life that I have, as the pacing of the show is demanding us to watch. When me and my girlfriend were away, while I was thinking about a load of different stuff, I spoke about how I wanted to check out Shogun, so we did. To begin with, I sat there trying to do some Sudokus at the same time. However, my mind was finding it really hard to balance both. I either needed to stop watching the show so I could put my brain power towards solving this puzzle, or to stop the Sudoku so I could actually stay up to date and in tune with what was going on in the world that was being presented to us. The reason for this is the pacing. A lot of the reason we can typically multitask a YouTube video, like this one for example, whilst you do something else, is that the average YouTube video kind of sucks at doing exactly that. There are some great storytellers out there, don't get me wrong, some amazing creators who also make outstanding content. However, the majority of us know we are able to talk and ramble for a longer period of time. We can say the same thing for roughly 20 minutes straight, which is in turn making the video easy to watch and understand, requiring less of your attention to really grip the nitty-gritty details that might be lost if you weren't giving your full attention. We also know that deep down the content that we are watching acts more like a supplement in our lives than anything that's actually going to completely shut us off from the outside world entirely. More like push off our problems in the moment. It's similar to how you can play a competitive shooter like Counter-Strike and become incredibly addicted, because for 2 minutes with a 20-second break, you are forced to zone in entirely, and then you get that little bit of downtime. With a show, the pacing is so good, and your mind entirely forgets and allows the plot to carry on through and trudge your muddied down mind so that it can provide some sense of value to you, and that value in particular is uninterrupted distraction. I said earlier that YouTube is no different to TikTok, and I do mean that. However, TikTok is more noticeable because it is short-form content, and the effects are blatantly more obvious. A TV show is no different as well to YouTube in the same way that a movie is no different to a show. They are all things that exist to distract us in some form or another. And the real difference between all of these, in my opinion, is the value proposition, which for any form of entertainment comes in its ability to distract us from our own reality without interruption. A show and a movie command this feeling due to the very nature of what we know about movies and shows when it comes to their production value and the feelings of legitimacy that both of those mediums bring. YouTube also allows you to get distracted, and sometimes you'll find those gems of videos that you'll sit there and be fully engaged within. However, the shorter form the content becomes, the closer it gets to anyone just, being able to make that sort of content, and therefore that professional feeling that you might get is otherwise kind of shut off from your mind. This is the exact reason I started getting back into watching movies and shows in particular again. I'm currently on a quest to live more of a simple life, and with that a more calm one, and when I sit still and just watch a show for an hour a day, it allows my mind to just completely shut off and disconnect from my own reality. With that all being said though, if you did enjoy today's video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I have more videos to come, and they'll be out as soon as I get round to them. Make sure to support me over on Patreon if you are interested as well. It'll end up supporting the channel directly, and with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.